Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Jayden Bryce Show, the show where we talk about the latest, hottest topics in the world of pop culture and sports. I'm your host, as always, Jayden, and I'm glad you guys are joining me tonight. We got a little nightcap action. I wanted to get this show out this afternoon, but I was not able to, so I had to delay it to tonight. I got a little nightcap action going on. Courtesy and kudos to Shannon Sharp over there at Nightcap and Ocho Cinco. But I'm glad whoever is joining me tonight, I want to thank you guys for joining me. I was supposed to be with you guys last Friday and over the weekend, but I had a pretty busy weekend and didn't get along to it. So I'm transferring, especially a lot of topics from Friday and stuff that happened over the weekend to today. But I got an action-packed show for you guys. We're going to be talking about, I know as you guys could tell in the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about Mr. Shedeur Sanders putting on a clinic, so to speak. Not pretty much a clinic because he wasn't that great, but he had a pretty darn sharp performance against the Carolina Panthers. Then we're going to talk about my Dallas Cowboys having a pretty lackluster performance against the Los Angeles Rams in their first preseason game. We're going to talk about the next Superman movie that is confirmed so far by David Zaslav and James Gunn, but it is not the movie that I was expecting. And lastly, we got some rumors regarding the Batman, because there's a little helper of the Cape Crusader, a little sidekick. You all could probably just think of who that I'm talking about, but he is rumored to be in the Batman movie, and it's kind of contradicting and really conflicting with what James Gunn is going for in the DCU. But we will get to that later on in the show. But more importantly, guys, I want you guys to drop a like on the podcast. Be sure to follow my podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to thank you guys again, as always, for the feedback on my channel and the continued boost on my watch time. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's not delay it no longer, and let's get right to the show to talk about probably my favorite topic of the show, Mr. Shedeur Sanders. We pretty much know what Shedeur had up against him leading into this game. The whole world and the weight of the world probably felt like it was on his shoulders during this game. And Shedeur Sanders essentially went out and balled. Now, to give a little backstory to this, I knew this game was going to be live around 7 p.m. Eastern time, my time. I was actually working at the time, so I wasn't able to watch this game live. I had to go back and essentially watch tape. NFL posted a nice little clip of all of Shedeur's pass attempts, pretty much. So that's what I pretty much got a look for, because I couldn't go back and record the game. But from what I saw, the highlights that I saw from the video, and for some other tapes here and there that they've shown throughout the game, Shedeur Sanders was amazing. First NFL game. All the pressure and the weight on his shoulders going into this game. And the kid put on an absolute, I don't want to say a clinic, because he wasn't exceptionally well. He was 14 for 23, just above the 60% mark. He had a lot of room to improve, because there was, and from his tape I saw there was a couple of gimmies that were from wide open guys that got away from him, but overall, his debut was amazing. It was a great debut. Again, I'm going to preface this again. I know I'm beating a dead horse here. With all the things that Shedeur has had to deal with leading up to this game, with him dropping so far in the draft, with all the quarterbacks that got picked in front of him, with all the drama going on with the Browns and everybody speculating that the Browns originally didn't want the kid, he went out there and put on a great performance in the face of all of that adversity. He looked like the Shedeur Sanders that we saw year one at Jackson State. And then when people were questioning his competition, he moved to Colorado with his dad. And for the past 2 years, he was playing exceptional, and that game transferred into Friday night. He was poised in the pocket. He sat in the pocket and made some throws. He was not scared of pressure. He used his feet and his legs when he absolutely needed to. And my most favorite trait about Shedeur Sanders is the fact that he throws a phenomenal football, in my opinion. He doesn't have the best arm strength. He does not have a shotgun for an arm like a Josh Allen, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Dan Marino, like a Joe Montana. But he has a super accurate arm. The ball is there with great touch and great timing. Specifically, I want to say it was maybe his first touchdown pass that he threw, and it may not be, but you guys will know what I'm talking about. He had the bootleg. Well, it wasn't the bootleg, but he drifted out to the left side, throwing it pretty much across his body, squaring up with his target, throwing a little nice touch pass in the back left corner of the end zone. Over in an area where it was 2 or 3 defenders. It was a very hard ball to throw, and he completed that pass in that short of a needle. It was a phenomenal pass. It was an elite quarterback. It was a Patrick Mahomes-esque, Jayden Daniels-esque type accuracy throw. He was exceptionally well. He was exceptionally well all night, even though he had a couple of gimmies that, again, like I said, he had a couple of gimme throws. There was specifically one where I saw he was drifting off to his left. Linebacker was coming in his face. Easy little touch dump pass over the top to the tight end or the running back. I don't know who was ever. It was right there. He was 10 yards up the field, probably not even that, maybe 5. And then he threw a wobbly football and he overshot him pretty much. He was wide open. He could have maybe got 10, 20, 30 yards off of that yak. I don't know. But, outside of that, it was a great game. He played well going into the fourth quarter, and then he got subbed out. And as we speak right now, Adam Schefter tweeted that out today that they have updated the depth chart. And if you could take a wild guess where Shedeur Sanders is currently at on that depth chart, he's went nowhere. He is staying put at number 4. There's no reason for me to believe. Specifically Kenny Pickett, we've seen what Joe Flacco has been able to do. But the thing with Joe Flacco is he is getting older. Who knows if he's going to be able to play as well as he did on the Browns like he did 2 years ago, to where he led them going into the playoffs. He didn't have a great playoff game because C.J. Stroud and the guys, that was C.J. Stroud's coming out party in the NFL, that playoff series. He played a phenomenal playoff game. But I've seen Kenny Pickett play. We have not seen Dillon Gabriel at the quarterback position in the NFL, but even in college. I didn't hear about Dillon Gabriel until his very first year at Oklahoma. And then when he transferred to Oregon his second year. Well, it wasn't his second year, but that's when I first caught up with Dillon Gabriel. And I've never really loved Dillon Gabriel's game. He's a left-handed quarterback. He's naturally does not have a strong arm for a left-handed quarterback. I don't think he processes the field really well. And I don't think he was the main contributor to the reason why Oregon had a great record that they had. I just think he had a great and phenomenal supporting cast offensively and defensively. And a great coach in Dan Lanning. So, after watching Shedeur on Friday night, there's no reason for me to believe that Shedeur Sanders should be at least second on the depth chart, only behind Joe Flacco. You really only have Joe Flacco in front of Shedeur Sanders for veteran reasons, because you want to go with the veteran guy leading into the season, and you want to do a Patrick Mahomes type transition where Alex Smith was the starter, and then eventually in the middle of the season, Patrick Mahomes was able to take over the reins. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers, with Jordan Love, even though Jordan Love sat on the bench for 2 whole years. But you cannot tell me that what Shedeur Sanders put on tape on Friday night is not better than anything we've seen from Kenny Pickett or Dillon Gabriel in college. Because I don't see a scenario where Dillon Gabriel would have had anywhere close to as good of a game as Shedeur Sanders would have had on Friday night. I cannot really vividly tell you a Kenny Pickett led offensive game that blew my socks off when he was at Pittsburgh and when he got traded to the Eagles. When he got traded to the Eagles, he had that one game against Dallas. But I've not seen Kenny Pickett absolutely knock my socks off. Shedeur Sanders has every single trait that you want in a quarterback. Outside of maybe and arguably, this is going to be the number one thing that people will go up against him, but it's his attitude off the field. On the field, he's a baller. All the mannerisms he had throughout the game, he reminded me of his father. And there's a lot of stuff that Shedeur Sanders does off the field that it is hard to fall in love with. And I am totally understandable of that. Colin Cowherd specifically is one of those who have been very, very vocal about his off-the-field antics. I think he done a show today where he specifically pointed out how when it comes to the Browns and these type of quarterbacks, he's been right about Johnny Manziel, he's been right about Baker Mayfield, and he's been right about Deshaun Watson. So in Colin Cowherd's eyes, Colin Cowherd said he's 3 for 3 and that the Cleveland fan base is 0 for 3. So I don't know if essentially I'm getting conflicted type of things with Colin Cowherd. I know I'm going a little off topic, but I don't know if he's really rooting for Shedeur from his Twitter post and what he even tweeted reacting to the depth chart. I think he's really internally rooting for Shedeur, but I just don't think Colin's in absolute love with Shedeur like everybody else is just because of his off-the-field stuff. And I do admit he does have to clean that up. But outside of that, I think he has the leadership on the field, now off the field, that can hurt his leadership type ordeals to a certain degree. But in my opinion, on the football field as a leader, he excels at that. He looks the part. He plays like a quarterback. He runs through his progressions really well. He throws a great football. He has pretty good technique and feet work. And he has poise in the pocket. He is not scared to get in that pocket and become a pocket passer. Because there's a lot of quarterbacks in today's league who love to just run first type of guy. Shedeur Sanders he is a pocket quarterback, just like Tom Brady was. His game actually does remind me of Tom Brady a whole lot. He is going to sit in that pocket, and he is going to make sure he gets that ball rather than run the football. Now, he has said that he wants to implement that in his game, but that is a great thing for Shedeur to have. So overall, I thought he had a fantastic debut. I'm looking forward to see more of him more in the future. And more importantly, I think he is super deserving of the number 2 spot on the depth chart. And he needs to get some reps with the 1s and the 2s at practice. He's only been getting reps with the 3s. I don't even know if he's even got any reps with the 2s, but I know for sure he has definitely got no reps at all with the 1s. He absolutely deserves it. But it's a point that I saw on Shannon Sharp's podcast when I was listening this morning. And Shannon Sharp was reading this from, he's an inside reporter for the Cleveland Browns. If Shedeur Sanders doesn't get 1s or 2s reps, there's no reason for me to believe that he is ever going to get second on the depth chart. He is going to absolutely stay where he's at. We're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. I even saw a report today that came out that teams are really eyeing Dillon Gabriel right now as a potential trade partner. We're just going to have to wait and see how everything plays out. Overall, Shedeur had a fantastic performance. And again, I'm looking to see what the kid has on display in the coming games, and especially Mr. Dillon Gabriel, because we are going to be getting our very first look at Mr. Dillon Gabriel in the upcoming game, hopefully coming off of that hamstring injury, along as possibly with Kenny Pickett as well. What do you guys think? And also, we'll probably discuss the Shedeur thing off the field when he was actually talking with the radio guy in Cleveland. I think it's Tony Grossi. Oh yeah, a little bit to say about Tony Grossi. We'll probably discuss that in a future show. But I want to know all your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. All right. Moving on to a topic that I really don't want to discuss. I am just so disgusted with this football team at the moment. Just nothing can go right. It's just a pain. But we're going to get to it, and we got to get to it anyways. My Dallas Cowboys. I broke my neck to watch this game because this game was not getting played on national television. Because they were playing the Jacksonville Jaguars and Pittsburgh Steelers game rather than my Dallas Cowboys on CBS. So I had to, hook up the streaming service and catch the game. And I was interested going into the game, seeing Joe Milton. I was ready to and I was ready to see Brian Schottenheimer. How would he approach his first game as the head coach? See the new offensive scheme he's been cooking up and things of that nature. Just some little minor details. I wasn't expecting much. No starters were played in this game. We were pretty much playing the third and the fourth stringers the whole game for the majority of the game. So, wasn't much to look forward to outside of really Joe Milton. And it wasn't great. As you can see down in the thumbnail in my lower third below. Tough day down in LA. I felt like a genius when I came up with this. And it rhymes just a little bit. But, I digress. A little humor. But, guys, the first quarter specifically was absolutely abysmal offensively. Let's not get started with the defense. It's the same thing we've been dealing with the last 4 years. Can't stop the run. Just getting absolutely gashed up the middle. Defensive tackles, they are non-existent. And the starting D tackles were pretty much there outside of Osa that I can possibly think of, and Solomon Thomas. Mozzie Smith was playing. Jay Toa, the defensive tackle we drafted out of UCLA in this year's draft, he played. And the other guy, I cannot quite remember his name off the top of my head right now. I think he's like number 97 or 99, and he played. And the Rams pretty much had and ran the ball any type of way they wanted to the whole game, especially in the first quarter. And on the offensive side of the ball, flipping over to that with Brian Schottenheimer, I was curious to see what are we getting into? You promised all these things with emotions on the offense, new mind, because I'm one of those guys, okay? I absolutely hated, and I don't like using the word hate, but I hated Mike McCarthy's coaching scheme, play calling schemes, pass concepts, any word that you like to put it. I did not like them. It felt like the same vanilla crap over and over. Slants, hitches, go routes. No crossing routes, no type of motion. If it was motion, it was a predictable type route to run. No corner routes, just no type of spice at all offensively. It was just very stale. He called it, it was a West Coast style of offense. And instead of calling it that, he called it the Texas Coast offense. But my dad came up with this name. It was more like Texas Toast offense. It was absolutely awful. It was abysmal. And honestly, I really do not understand how Dak Prescott had one of his best careers under that type of offense. To me, it was very lackluster. So going into this game, I was very much looking forward to what Brian Schottenheimer had to offer as, the offensive play caller. And when I tell you guys, they had, after the first quarter, they were negative in net yardage after the first quarter on offense. He said going into the game that he was going to let Joe Milton sling it, and my Lord, did he not exaggerate about that. No run plays. I don't even think they ran the ball. And if they did, it didn't mean anything in the first quarter. Put Joe Milton in an absolutely abysmal spot. I think the first two drives, they were 3 and out. Didn't even gain a first down. It was a rough watch. And in the second quarter, and let's go back to the first quarter defensively. Maurice Leafai was the only bright spot that whole first quarter. He was around hitting people. I mean, he made the first tackle on kickoff team to start off the game. He was already laying the wood, so to speak. So he was actually my player of the game, really, to be honest with you. So transitioning, and I'm not going to go to quarter, but eventually, because that's going to take too long. So eventually, it got better. Second quarter, got the run game going a little bit. Joe Milton settled in just a little bit. And going into that second half, we got points on the board with just getting 3 points. second half, get a couple touchdowns. And, Joe Milton actually settled in. He missed a couple of throws, a couple of big throws, specifically a big crossing route. He overshot, I think it was Ryan Flournoy. He overshot Ryan Flournoy, 20-yard crossing route down the field. If he would have hit him, he probably would have hit his head on the goalpost. That's how wide open that he did, and he overshot him. Joe Milton had a really big problem with overshooting a lot of receivers all night. He has trouble with touch on his football so far. He's got the arm. He just needs reps. He just needs reps. They even said that's the first time he started a game in over 2 years. That's the last time Joe Milton has essentially started a football game and been in that type of spotlight. So I give Joe Milton a pass to a certain degree. But overall, from a defensive point of view, the guys that really stood out to me was Zion Childress, the slot corner for the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people are very optimistic of him possibly getting a starting cornerback position, given that our cornerback depth is so bad right now, because Trayvon Diggs is not going to be ready week one, nor Siobhan Rebel, our third-round pick, so neither one of those are going to be available. And a lot of people have been pushing for Stephon Gilmore to get signed, Rasul Douglas to help out Deron Bland. I'm one of those who are advocating for that because the corner play was absolutely lackluster outside of Zion Childress. Everybody was getting burnt like hot toast outside of Israel Mukuamu. I would not be surprised if they put him at cornerback because he is an absolute stud. He is exceptional anytime he touches the ball field. But Maurice Leofau, Zion Childress are really the only two that I can explicitly say that popped off of the screen for me from the defensive side of the ball. Defensive tackles, absolutely lackluster, garbage performance. I think Jay Toya is a Joy Toya, Jay Toya. I don't even know his name. He had one of the worst grades running and pass defending on Pro Football Focus. Both were in the low 20s and the 30s. Absolutely abysmal grades. He was horrible all night on Saturday evening. Same goes along with Mozzie Smith. It just defensively, it's the same thing over and over. They pretty much answered the question that we already knew going into the season. The defense, they're going to get gashed by the run. They're optimistic in the pass game. Their pass rush without Micah Parsons isn't going to get anywhere. And there you go. Ezaraku, the edge rusher that we drafted in the second round, he was actually pretty good. He sparkled here, there, and everywhere. But offensively, Joe Milton, I give a pass because this is his first game. He hasn't had much playing time and, reps, in-game reps. So I give him a pass to a certain degree. I want to see him progressively get better, something that we didn't really see with Trey Lance last year in the preseason. I just want to see him get progressively better because I think Joe Milton overall is a better quarterback than Trey Lance at the moment. Even he showed more promise than what Trey Lance did in this preseason game. But outside of Joe Milton, push him to the side. Phil Maffa, I think, was a bright spot, and Malik Davis. Specifically with Phil Maffa, the way he ran the ball. He is complementing that type of offensive scheme that Brian Schottenheimer is trying to implement in Dallas, that really bump and run, because he is going to be a run-first guy. So I think adding Phil Maffa, he is going to be your bulldozer type of guy, and then adding that with a little thunder, like a little thunder lightning type combo with Jaden Blue, maybe with Javonte Williams. So I'm looking forward to that one. As far as the running back room, Malik Davis did an absolute good job as well because he got put in late in the game, and at that point, the offensive line was absolutely gashing the Rams' defensive line. Something I got to give him positive. Offensive line actually held up pretty well overall, specifically later on in the game. So they did an absolute sensational job. I think Phil Maffa was even close to averaging 5 yards a carry. If he didn't get to 5, I know he was in the low 4s. So I thought I was really pleased with the run game. Now, pass concepts wise, I can say, although it wasn't a great show out, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I saw for the most part than what I've seen in Mike McCarthy's scheme. So that's something as well that was a little positive for me. It's just, I think it just wasn't overall for the game. It wasn't a great start. I don't think Brian Schottenheimer put the team in a good position, specifically on offense to start off, and then on defense, they were out there on cruise control. And later on in the game, they got better as the game progressed, but I don't know if that had to do with just because the Rams already had their They already threw their fastball, had their good stuff in the beginning of the game, and everything vanillaed out later on in the game, or I don't know. Or it had to actually do with the Cowboys actually wanting to play football, but I don't know. But it felt like a snooze fest, specifically in the first half. And then in the second half, it got a little bit better. So I'm interested to see how Brian Schottenheimer is able to take that second half performance and to be able to translate it going into Baltimore, playing against Baltimore, because they're going to be in Dallas against Baltimore going on Saturday. Because we know historically Baltimore is a great preseason team. So it's going to be a great litmus test to see exactly what's going on with the Brian Schottenheimer-led Dallas Cowboys culture. Now we can get to the Micah Parsons, all that. But I just wanted to get to the preseason game. So, positives, really standout positives: run game, offensive line, Donovan Ezaraku to a certain degree, Maurice Leofau, Zion Childress. Those guys were great. Super negatives, defense as a whole, honestly, run and pass D wasn't the best, specifically the run defense. Wide receivers, I don't think, specifically like Jalen Cropper and a couple guys, they did not have their best game. And I got to give credit to a couple of wide receivers as well. Trayshawn Holden is one. He had a couple of big plays there at the end of the game. Jalen Brooks, another kid, I forgot his name. He's wearing number 6. I can't remember his name, but he did an absolutely exceptional job as well, and I enjoyed him. And I hope Dallas could possibly find him a place on the team. And yeah, so those are the negatives for me altogether. Some of the wide receiver play was not the best. A lot of it had to do as well because Joe Milton wasn't on his best game. But yeah, I think that's all I have from the top of my head. But overall, it was a pretty lackluster performance by the Dallas Cowboys. Although I was not expecting much better than what they put on, I still wanted them to show a little bit more fight than what they did. And I think they can build on what they had in the second half. And I'm pretty interested to see what Brian Schottenheimer and the guys will put together coming in on Saturday night. But what did you guys think of the preseason game for the Dallas Cowboys? Did you think they played up to par? Or did you think it was disappointing and lackluster and not 100% effort? Now, I would say their effort Saturday was 75% at best. I want to know of your comments and your thoughts down below. All right, guys, let's transition away from the sports and let's get into some pop culture stuff. We got an article here, and the first topic, and yes, you guessed it, we are going to be talking about Superman. And I teased it in the beginning of my segment. We thought, and I thought it was going to be a Superman sequel, but actually, it's not exactly going to be that. From the headlines here by Variety, an article posted by Rebecca Ruman, Mrs. Rebecca Ruman, who is pretty much on all of these DCU type storylines when it pertains to the DCU. And she had this to write in this headline: James Gunn to direct next movie in the Super Family at DC Studios after Superman's success. James Gunn will write and direct the next installment in the Super Family, David Zaslav confirmed during the company's earnings call. Gunn had previously said in various interviews during his Superman press tour that he was writing a new movie featuring David Cornsweet's Superman in it, although he always remained coy on whether it was a standalone Superman sequel or something else. Zaslav provided no clarity there, opting to say next movie in the Super Family. But it's news that Gunn will direct the movie in addition to writing the screenplay. He served the same dual role in Superman. All right. What do I think of this? Most importantly, my big issue with this, and it's not really that big of an issue, but I do not understand for the life of me why we cannot get a Superman sequel. I just don't understand it. We had the same thing with Henry Cavill. The same exact thing with Henry Cavill. Pretty solid first film on both perspectives. At the time was Zack Snyder's Justice League, although it was not as well received as James Gunn's Superman. But at the time, in my personal opinion, great movie. Don't understand why they never got a sequel. Instead of a Superman sequel, we got Batman v Superman, and then we got Zack Snyder's Justice League, or the Justice League 2 as well. I just do not want James Gunn to do the same mistake. I want a solo Superman sequel with David Cornsweet's Superman. I think it is phenomenal. We have not been able to expand out on Superman's rogue gallery. Okay? I've only watched the original Superman movie. The villain in there was Lex Luthor. I know Superman 2, and we're talking about Christopher Reeve's movies, I know that General Zod and the crew was part of Superman 2, the antagonist in those movies. 3 and 4, I don't know who they were. And in Superman Returns with Brandon Routh, done Lex Luthor again. Man of Steel did General Zod. I want to see something else. And we're going to get to it here. But I just want another villain like a Brainiac or a Darkseid. Even though I don't want to do Darkseid, you kind of want to save that for a Justice League movie because he's the big bad for the Justice League. But somebody else, Parasite, any other type of Metallo, just something different besides General Zod and Lex Luthor. Although I want to see Lex Luthor back in some sort of capacity, but I do not want to see no more General Zod. But yes, I just don't understand for the life of me why we cannot get a direct Superman sequel at all. Are they afraid of the international numbers so much because the last couple of Superman films has not done great internationally? Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But for some reason, Warner Brothers is not wanting to press the go button, the green light, on any sort of Superman sequel. Solo Superman sequel. But I don't know. But with this being quoted as the super family, I have to suggest and only guess that this has to be some type of Superman, Supergirl adventure. Okay. And I brought up this comic animated movie. It's called Batman and Superman Apocalypse, if I'm not mistaken. And it features Supergirl in the story, where Superman and Supergirl have this type of dynamic, and I think that is what James Gunn is kind of wanting to go for. And I actually loved that film, and I loved Superman and Kal and Kara's dynamic in that. So would I love to see that on the live screen? Absolutely. And in that film, they actually fight Darkseid. But I don't want them to fight Darkseid. I want them to do this villain. I want them to do Brainiac. Okay? Brainiac is a key story to the backstory and the lore pertaining to Kal-El and Kara and just Krypton in general. And every iteration of Brainiac I've watched and consumed via movies and animated films and things of that nature. I'm not a comic historian. I have prefaced that many a time. So when it comes to the comic book aspect of this stuff, do not come with me for information. But from what I've known, Brainiac has a pretty decent history with both of these characters. So it seems fit to deep dive into the Kryptonian lore in this type of Superman movie, with the super family movie rather, and have Brainiac as the antagonist for the film, because we can actually expound on something that a lot of audiences has had a problem with, and me being one of those people, the whole Jor-El message in the Superman movie, where he didn't send Superman there to be a savior and to save and bring good and hope, keyword hope, to the human race on planet Earth. But instead, they did this type of backstory and lore changing to where pretty much they sent Kal-El to Earth to pretty much spread his hair. What is it called? His secret harem or something, or whatever they wanted to call it. Basically, spreading his seed across the whole Earth. Whatever they wanted to do with that and change up the Superman lore. So maybe that's an interesting thing that we can pretty much just expound upon in a type of Brainiac Superman super family type of movie. because Supergirl is already present in the universe. We saw that at the end of Superman, and she's fixing to get her own film, and I'm excited to see what they have to offer with that when it comes to Lobo and things of that nature. Is Lobo going to be the full antagonist in the movie? It's left to be seen. They're obviously mimicking the movie off of the recent comic run by Tom King, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So I want them, it's a great type of idea to put in the movie and expound upon it. Okay, why did Jor-El say what he said? Let Kara provide some impact on that. And they have some type of adventure to try and unlock the reason why that happened. And maybe Brainiac might have some type of suggestion or reason why Jor-El maybe have said that. Because he's had, Brainiac has ties to Krypton. He knows he steals data from worlds, and he's one of the smartest people in the DC universe. So if anybody would know that type of information and we could explore some sort of storyline with that, Brainiac would be the character to do that. So that's what I would love to see in this type of movie. And just essentially a nice Kara and Kal-El adventure movie. Something that I would love to see in a Batman, Superman type of the Cape Crusader and Man of Steel type of buddy cop movie. And it's I don't know why I keep forgetting their dynamic. Y'all are going to kill me in the comments for this. I should absolutely know this. What is the name of Superman and Batman's duo? Oh my gosh. Y'all don't kill me in the comments for this. World's Finest. Jesus Christ. I don't know why I could not remember that for the life of me. But yes, I would have loved to see this with a World's Finest type of movie, but we cannot get that because James Gunn's Batman has not been introduced. And we're going to talk about not DCU's Batman, but we're going to talk about the DC extended universe, Elseworld universe rather. We're going to talk about that Batman later. But overall, that's pretty much all I have in regards to this. I don't like how we're not getting a direct sequel to Superman 1 and not getting a solo Superman movie to where we could focus more on Lois Lane and all these other characters, the Daily Planet as well. Because I thought in the first Superman movie, that was one of my favorite aspects that we got the least of was the Daily Planet, Lois Lane, and the relationship aspect of it. And we focused too much on... and we didn't focus too much on it, but the supporting characters had their role in the film, and it pretty much took away from that. And I wanted to see more of that in a direct sequel. But we're just going to have to wait and see what they have to do with this super family type movie. And another thing that I wanted to just point out as well, I'm very interested to see how these movies are going to connect with each other in the DCU. We haven't really been able to see that quite yet because Superman is the first movie. So I'm just interested to see exactly how these movies are going to be connecting with each other just like they did in the MCU. So maybe we can follow one movie and then it leads up to the next thing. So maybe Supergirl will have Superman in the movie and possibly lead up to the upcoming Superman, I guess you could say Superman sequel. But outside of that, we're just going to have to wait and see. What do you guys think? Let me know all of your comments down below. Are you interested in this super family, so to speak, type movie? Are you disappointed we're not getting a direct Superman movie sequel? I want to know all of your comments down below. All right, guys. Going into our last topic again. Thank you guys for joining me. We're going to get to the Caped Crusader himself. Now, a lot of this news that we are about to get to is not 100% confirmed, okay? This is coming from a media insider in the movie industry, and they wrote a whole article on it, and Variety did. So, and I know there's been a lot of, subtweets and, what's it called? The thing they do on Twitter when they pretty much fact check you on Twitter. Community guideline or whatever is the term they use anyways. But a lot of this and the information has been community guidelined on Twitter that we're about to read in this article. But I just wanted to expound upon it because it is wild if these rumors are true. And we're going to get to it. Let's get to the article first. By Variety. The Batman 2 is preparing to begin shooting next spring at Warner Brothers Discovery. Good news for fans of Robert Pattinson's Dark Knight. In Warner Bros. Discovery's recent letter to shareholders, the company announced that Matt Reeves' long-awaited The Batman Part 2 will finally begin filming in spring 2026 for an October 2027 theatrical release. Pattinson, who's gone from filming Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, jeez, I didn't even know he was in that, to Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 3, this year alone return in the title role. Warner Bros. Discovery shareholders letter celebrated the recent success of Superman, blah, 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 blah. The company wrote DC Studios' universe of characters represents not only one of Warner Brothers. Discovery's most valuable pieces of intellectual property, but one of the most valuable assets of entertainment, or in entertainment, rather. I don't think it actually goes in depth of what I am wanting to talk about, and it actually didn't. So basically, it just gives a background of what essentially is going on with the Batman, confirming that it is getting ready to film next spring, and they're looking for an October 2027 release date. But that is not what I'm wanting to talk about. That's just a little bit of the news update for the Batman. There are reports, and this is from Jeff Snyder, okay? He's a person in the media space, and obviously, like I said, this has been community guidelined a lot, and I mean a lot. But there are reports that the boy wonder, aka Robin, is reportedly supposed to be in this movie. They are saying, and Jeff Snyder said this, that somebody got a hold of the script, one of his insiders that he knows in the movie industry, somehow, some way, they saw the script and they were reporting that Robin is part of the Batman 2 script. Now, this has been something that has been reported before in the media space, okay? Leading up to this movie, I remember maybe like a year ago, there were a lot of reports that were going around suggesting that Robin was going to be in the Batman Part 2. I never understood why. It made no sense, and I'm gonna dissect that later on into my argument. But first of all, I have to personally say that I want to debunk this rumor when it pertains to Jeff Snyder reporting that Robin is in this, because I have no idea why he would be. Because first of all, this would absolutely contradict what James Gunn is wanting to do when it pertains to his Batman the Brave and the Bold movie. And although I know it's not going to be titled Batman the Brave and the Bold, because he keeps changing the titles of his other movies, but he specifically stated that his Batman movie is going to feature Robin. And it is going to be Damian Wayne. It would make no sense for general audiences, and for general audiences' sake, to have to keep up with two different Robins. And another argument, and I know this is what that people are going to say down in the comment section, well, Jayden, you already have two Batmans. Why don't you just have two Robins? Let me just let you know this, okay? There are two Bruce Waynes. There's two Bruce, and I'm gonna have multiple arguments for this. Everybody knows who Bruce Wayne is. Okay. It's always been the same guy. Batman has always been Bruce Wayne. What about Robin? Last time I checked, there's like 4 different iterations of Robin. You have Damian, who is the most recent one. You have Tim Drake, Dick Grayson, who is mostly everybody's favorite, including me. Well, Damian's kind of up there for me as well. And then you have Jason Todd. Those are your 4 iterations of Robin. We already know Damian Wayne is going to be the DCU's Robin. So why on earth would you confuse audiences into thinking that Damian is going to be the Robin in the Batman Part 2? It makes absolutely no sense, because you're not going to do Damian. There's no way from the Batman 1 that we have any type of plot or plot line that suggests that Batman has a kid with Talia al Ghul. So it's not going to be Dick. It's not going to be Damian. Are you going to do Dick Grayson? Flying Graysons? That might be something you might do. I don't know. But it would not be in the best interest of the audiences, because the audiences will get confused. Why do we have another Robin? And again, like I said, it is a valid argument. Why would we have another Batman? I don't know. Me personally, I don't think it is a good idea to put Robin in this movie. I just really don't, because I think Robin is a more important character in the DCU for world building and the type of world building that James Gunn is trying to do with all these characters and having all these storylines and eventually getting these characters together in a big movie. That's the reason why I don't like it. And another reason why I don't like it as well, I do not see, and I emphatically say this, I do not see Robert Pattinson's Batman having any type of cool or interesting chemistry with Robin for the viewer. I just don't see it. And even comic book fan, I do not see any way, form, or fashion from Batman and Bruce Wayne's aspect. I don't see this Batman being able to have any type of chemistry with any type of Bat family member. He barely has any type of good chemistry with Alfred. And and that's the type of chemistry that I look for in a Batman movie, because I like Alfred and Batman's type of chemistry. Again, I was raised up watching Batman the Animated Series, so I'm kind of spoiled. And with Andy Serkis and Robert Pattinson, I just did not dig their dynamic. Even the little type of emotional scene, you can say, that they have when Alfred was in the hospital, Andy Serkis' Alfred was in the hospital, it just didn't hit me home. I just never cared for their dynamic. And the issues that I've had with his Bruce Wayne, he has no character. He's just he's Batman 24/7. He's never Bruce Wayne at all. So I do not see that meshing with any type of Robin, any type of iteration of Robin. Definitely not Damian Wayne. This Batman is super young. He's not been in the role long enough to deal with somebody like Damian. And even if you go to Dick Grayson, I just don't see this Batman having any sort of dynamic with Robin. Because Batman has to have this level of maturity to be able to handle raising young teenage kids who are getting ready to go in Gotham City, the most dangerous city, and fight crime at a young age, at a very not good parenting young age, okay? So I just do not see that. And that's the reason why I just don't think Robin's a good idea for this movie. Now, am I 100% against it? Not really. If they do it, it ain't gonna to deduct any points in my score when I watch the movie. Although I'm going to be irritated that it's in there, but I'm not going to be 100% against it. If they want to do it, fine. It's Robin content. We have not seen a great Robin on screen. Kudos to the guy who was in Batman and Robin, and I think he was in Batman Forever or whatever. The guy who played Robin. I don't even know if he was Dick Grayson. I think he was Dick Grayson. But I haven't been a big fan of any type of Robin that's been on screen. Even the Robin from the end of The Dark Knight Rises that they wanted to do, that whole Robin they had going on, I wasn't a fan of that either, and I was not going to be a fan of that. So I have not been a huge fan of any type of Robin that has been portrayed on screen so far. So and it might be a chance for them to possibly get Robin right. Now again, everybody's in love with Matt Reeves and what he did with his Batman movie, and I give kudos where kudos is due. I think Matt Reeves did a darn good job. But I think Matt Reeves needs to hit on the Bruce Wayne aspect when it comes to Robert Pattinson's Batman just a little bit better. Now, and Matt Reeves' argument for that might be that it's his Batman movie, and that's what gives his character, his Batman movie's uniqueness. Fine, albeit whatever. Just do me a favor. just touch it up just a little bit. But that's just me. So, and I would be interested to see what he would do with Robin, specifically for just with the mask on, because he nailed that aspect to the part out of the part with Batman. So maybe we get to see Robin look cool and be cool for once. It'll be interesting to see, and I'm fully supportive of that. So I wouldn't be totally against it. But outside of just the Robin thing, shooting in the spring, that's good to hear. So they're getting to it as soon as possible in the coming months, and they're shooting for an October 2027 release date, which is plenty of time to do any type of post-production for the movie. So we got great timing, and it's nice to see that we have a schedule laid out and ready to go, scripts already done and all that. You're already doing better than what Marvel does, Warner Brothers. You're cooking, and keep cooking. But overall, that's just from the Robin news. I'm going to just put my little 2 cents in it as well when it comes to the Batman. I want to see Mr. Freeze as the antagonist, along with Penguin. Let them have some type of storyline together. I'll be 100% supportive of that. And I would love to see Robert Pattinson's Batman evolve. Bruce Wayne specifically evolve. I think his Batman is fine, but I want to see Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne evolve. So that is basically my little wants and needs. I've prefaced this before in past shows, but I just want to regurgitate that information again. But that's pretty much all we have right now in regards to the Batman's news. Obviously, I have nobody to, like John Campea does, any type of partner to say, hey, what do you think of this news? I just had to give my perspective of it, and essentially roll on. Hopefully one day, guys, I'll have a bunch of people on here with me, because I know y'all's probably tired of just seeing my ugly face, just sitting there talking by myself for an hour. Trust me, I'm very, very looking forward to possibly getting a partner in the future. But anyways, outside of that, guys, what do you guys think of this news of Robin reportedly being part of the script in the Batman 2? Now, this comes with a little caveat, little asterisk on here with little red markings on it. This isn't 100% true. It is rumors, okay? It is rumors. Not 100% true, and I'm leaning to this being most likely not true. I'm leaning towards that edge of the trend because a lot of people, and then Twitter is getting down on the reports now. There's a lot of community guidelines going on about this not exactly being the case, because Jeff Snyder has reported false information in the past. He's not 100% credible. But outside of that, what do you guys think of the idea? And what do you guys think of my proposition? I would love to see Mr. Freeze as the main antagonist alongside the Penguin. And I want to see the Batman evolve. I want to know of your comments down below. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my show tonight. I had a good time. I enjoyed actually filming this at night. I might do this some more. I think this is really fun. I enjoyed filming this at night. Although I know some of you are probably asleep, but yeah, guys, I thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you guys had a great time like I did. Do not hesitate to hit the like on the show, and make sure you catch it on Apple and Spotify if you want to listen to it again at any point in time, or on YouTube as well. And check out my links below in the description to get all my other videos when it pertains to pop culture and sports. But more importantly, I want to thank you guys for taking your time out of your day tonight and watching the show. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday. We are going to get 3 shows in this week, okay? I said it last week, but I promise you guys, we are going to get 3 shows in this week. And you can bet it. I love you guys so much, and I thank you guys for joining me. Peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See ya. It's not a game, it's a